All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending our best practices series with Brandon Hegg from Dynamic Directions. And again, my name is Bernard. I'm with Insurance Advisors Direct, and this is one of the many solutions that we bring to our clients, to our agents. And without further ado, here we're going to have Brandon take it away, my friend. Go ahead, sir.
Awesome. Thank you, Bernard. And as you said, thank you to all of you for joining us. I'm really excited about this session. I'm really excited IAD is letting us bring this to you. Today, we're going to talk about better questions. So I'm going to do a quick little preview of who I am. So you kind of have a background of who's this guy, why is he talking? Then we're going to talk a little bit about some psychology and some biology around how does the human, how do we buy, purchase, and go through change? And then I'm going to share with you a question progression that if you start implementing, you are going to have a ton more success, whether it's in your meetings, talking to referrals to become new clients. This will change the way that you approach this. And I'll tell you right now, 90% of salespeople, agents, advisors, doesn't matter, they don't do it. And I'm going to show you exactly how to unlock the key to get more action through these questions. So to start, as promised, a little bit about me. Look, I've been around the industry for a while. You might have seen me when we were doing the Retirement Roadblock series. Right now, what we do is we basically help financial professionals build a better life and a better practice. Been around the industry for a while, worked with a few large firms, Ameriprise, Prudential, Allianz. All of this rings true. At Dynamic Directions, which is our firm, look, we've got the stats up here. The key is we work with some of the top financial professionals in the country. The things that we do with them, we take the best practices, we bring it to you. So how do we work? We work with folks in a one-on-one basis, whether it's they want to do more with their current clients, they want to figure out how to get new clients, or they're thinking about how do I overall manage and lead my business. We work with people every day on this. And so that's what we're taking the best practices, bringing it to you. I always like to ground us in this idea around behaviors, beliefs, and results. So as we go through this, you may notice some kind of ideas, some thoughts, maybe a voice in your head pop up that says, I don't know if I can do this. Does that really work? I don't know. It's what we call self-limiting beliefs. What I can tell you is what I'm going to share with you comes from years of practice, years of experience, and is being used by top advisor firms across the country. You know, our biggest firm has $8 billion in management. They use this because it works, and that's how they grew to that size, is by teaching and helping their employees, their advisors, their professionals use these top best practices. So you may have that creep in, be aware of that, because if you have those self-limiting beliefs and you let those drive your behaviors, they're going to drive your results and they're going to drive them right into the ground. So as you have those, notice and try to think, why am I thinking that? Is that really reality, or is this something that I can work to get over? And tell yourself a different story rather than the one that's going on. So be mindful of that, because your beliefs drive your behaviors, which drive your results. And then ultimately, the goal that we want to do through these questions and through almost every interaction we have is to get our value to outweigh any price that we're asking for. You've probably heard it 100 times that price is only an issue in the absence of value. And where a lot of people miss in their questions is they don't ask the right questions to help a client, to help a prospect actually see and internalize the value that you're going to provide. We're going to talk about how you can do that now. But let's start with, where are we at? What happens today? What do people do on a regular basis? And the standard that I see is, where are you now? Where do you want to be, right? Hey, what coverage do you have now? Well, what do you need? Great. Here's how we solve that problem. And that's how I see 80 to 90% of advisors, of salespeople, of agents actually present things. Is here's where you are, here's where you want to be. Great. I have the solution for you. And that's it. And they expect that to close the deal. Guess what? It doesn't. Well, it will 25% of the time. 75% of the time, you need to go further. And so we're going to move into and talk a little bit about why is this question progression that I'm going to share with you so good, and how do people think? So we're going to go into a little biology. I'm not making this up. This exists out there. You can find it through, I'm sure, plenty of YouTube talks or just Google it. But the way that the human brain is made up, there's really three parts. We're only going to talk about two. The third that we're not going to talk about is instinct, which doesn't really fall into play here. So we'll set that one aside. But when you think about the decision-making process in the human brain, there's two parts that work together to create and go ahead and finalize a decision. First is your neocortex, which, as you see here, is in your blue. That's your facts, your figures, your language, your rational, logical thinking is your neocortex. And then the limbic brain, which is feelings, emotions, decision-making, really lives there, but there's no basis for language in that part of the brain. So if you've ever had someone that sits in front of you to ask you to make a decision and you just have a gut feeling, or you say no because it doesn't feel right, it's because your limbic brain, your emotion, your feelings is not engaged, and we don't have a word for that. We can't explain why it doesn't feel right. It just doesn't. So if you look at decision making, 75% of human decisions, whether it's purchasing, whether it's deciding to go ahead and mow the lawn or whatever it is, 75% of that lives in feelings and emotion, and only 25% of that lives on actual rational thinking. So if you're selling with facts, figures, or you put something in front of someone that makes complete logical sense, but they didn't purchase, it's because the limbic brain wasn't engaged. I'm going to give you a real life example of something that happened to me about 3 months ago. So my wife and I was time for me to get a new vehicle. So I went to purchase a new to me vehicle. And if you've ever done a new purchase, a used purchase, anything like that, you know that at some point in the process, you're going to get asked to go to this separate little room where you're going to sit down with the guy that's got his laminated charts of warranties and all of the things that could go wrong. And you're going to get upsold on the extra added warranty above and beyond your vehicle payment. Now, where the person that I met with, we sat down and he said, "Hey, Brandon, all right, if something breaks on your truck, here's the average cost it's going to take you out of pocket to fix that. Here's what it would cost if this other thing broke. Here's what it would cost if this did." And he starts telling me all the facts and figures around, hey, if these things break, you're going to be out of pocket 10 grand or whatever the number was. See, I don't even remember it. I remember not feeling right about it, but I don't remember what the numbers were. Then he says, with our warranty though, you can save all of this money and not have to pay for these repairs. And here's how much it would cost throughout the life of your purchase agreement. And what he showed me is, wow, it's a lot less money to buy this warranty. Guess what? I didn't buy the warranty because it didn't feel right. It didn't feel I wasn't engaged. Now, what he could have done and what he should have done, if I was coaching him, I would have said this. I would have said, hey, go through your facts and figures and let me know this is how much it could cost. This is how much it would cost if I did your warranty, but then go to the next step. And this sounds something like this. If I was selling to, let's say, Bernard, here's how I would put it in front of him. Bernard, so we've talked through, we know that it's much less expensive if you go with the warranty, but I want to go ahead and try and paint a picture. Imagine you're driving down the road and you hear a noise that you've never heard before. And all of a sudden your car starts sputtering, it starts jerking. You've got to pull over to the side of the road in the middle of a highway. What are you going to do? Now, if he had asked that to me, I would have said, I'm not really sure. Call my wife. I don't know. So great. So you do that. You get it towed to the next body shop and you find out that you've got to do some big out-of-pocket expense to fix something you weren't planning on. If you think about the emergency funds you have, you think about your disposable income, any sort of goals you're saving for, if you had to out-of-pocket a $10,000 to $15,000 expense, how would that affect your goals, your savings, and your emergency fund? What would it feel like if all of a sudden you had to take care of that? I would be pretty stressed out. And I would tell him that. I would say, yeah, it would be a big expense. I'm not exactly sure how we would put it all together or what that would totally do. That's pretty stressful. So, yep, I see that. So let's flip that. Same situation, right? If you were driving down the road and you hear this noise you've never heard from your truck, it starts to sputter, you got to pull over, your engine is smoky, you don't know what's going on. But instead of not knowing what to do, you could call our group. We'd send a tow truck out. They'd take care of the truck, drive it to the nearest auto shop, get you a loaner so you can continue on your way. And you would know no matter what they found, your maximum out of pocket would be $500. How would that change the way you looked at driving or being comfortable and confident while you were driving this vehicle? It's a totally different situation then, because all of a sudden I've gone from, wow, I'm stressed if something breaks, I don't know what I would do. I'm feeling peril, I'm feeling danger. And then they give me the solution of how would this change the way that you drive and your confidence. I am in relief. I am thinking about putting that into place. All of a sudden, the extra $150 a month doesn't seem so bad, because I have this feeling and I can see and I can feel what it would do for me on a personal level. My limbic brain is engaged. Had he done that, I'm 90% certain I would have gotten at least one part of that warranty, but I didn't, because he didn't go there. And that's where we see advisors missing, is they're not helping clients think through the feelings, the dangers, and what actually happens when they put your solution in place. How's that gonna feel? What will that alleviate for them? Okay, so that gets our setup on the biology of the human brain. We've got to talk to the limbic side. Now let's talk a little bit about change. This is all setting it up so that you've got the background to see where we're going with these questions. So when you're asking someone to buy something, whether it's a warranty, a financial plan, an insurance policy, a Medicare policy, it doesn't matter. What has to happen is there will be a change. It could be as simple as, I wasn't paying before, now I'm paying. Or, I didn't have I'm thinking of something simple. I didn't have a lawnmower, now I do. There's change. Some level of change will happen no matter what, as someone goes forward and decides to make a purchase. Now, this is the psychology of change, what you see on the screen here. Some people go through it faster than others, and some people can move really quickly, but some people take time. And that's where we need, as salespeople, as advisors, as agents, we need to help clients through this process. And if you look, the danger zone is at 6 o'clock there. So what you really need to focus on is the danger between discomfort, where they're feeling anxiety. This is when people are thinking about price, not value. This is an extra cost. I don't know if I can do this. I'm confused about exactly what is it going to get me. I'm not productive. I'm basically worrying about this cost. And all I'm thinking about is the price. I'm not thinking about the value. Best way to think about it is they're sitting in a rocking chair. They're going back and forth, but they're not really getting anywhere. It's something to do, but it's not going to move them forward. You need to start asking the questions to get them through discomfort into discovery, understanding, and eventually into integration. So let's go back to my example of the car warranty. So in this case, he tells me how much it costs, how much I would save by using their warranty. I'm in the danger zone, because all I'm thinking about is, all right, if I pay an extra $200 a month, that's $2,400 a year. If I'm in, my loan is 5 years, okay, that's $12,000 over. It's unproductive thinking, but that's where I am. I'm just thinking about doing the math real quick and what is going to be the best price, not doing it or doing it. No value is coming into my thinking process in that danger zone. So in the example of let's talk about what happens if you're driving down the road. Now I'm in discovery mode. Make me think about, how would I use this? What would this do for me? How would this work? So now once I'm in discovery, I'm discovering that, yeah, I would be really kind of anxious, anxiety stricken if I didn't have this in place, because I wouldn't know what to do. With this in place, here's what it would look like. I'm discovering what is life like with this. Then it moves into understanding. We would be able to get you a loaner. We would get that taken to the auto body shop. The most you pay out of pocket is $500. How would that feel? all of a sudden I'm now understanding, boy, that would feel a lot better. I would feel more confident with this product. I would feel less stress and anxiety. Now I understand the value of what this product brings. And then finally, the last part is integration, which is now I'm in that mode of thinking, boy, what is life going to be now that this is set? I go ahead and move forward with this because I understand, I've discovered the value. Now let's go ahead and integrate it into our process. That's where we have to help clients get through. So how do we do it? Through a really basic question progression. Where are you now? Where are you late? Where do you want to be later? That still exists. That's still a great first step. Where are we now? Where are we going? But remember, that's all facts. And that's neocortex. That's only 25% of the actual decision-making process. So then you've got to help them go through the rest of the entire story of what they're doing. What could get in the way? What happens if you don't change behavior? What do you want to avoid? Help them start thinking of the dangers. What could come into place? So insurance is a really easy example for this one. So it could be Mr. and Miss Smith, what do you want to cover if you weren't here tomorrow? What are the things you would want to make sure happen if you weren't, knock on wood, on this earth anymore? What do you want to happen? And get them to think through, what do we want to happen? What do we want to happen? What do we want to happen? Great. You've gone through and you've told me in order to reach your goals, you need 1.5 million of insurance. What do you have today? More likely than not, they don't have that much. So we know where they are now is, let's say they have 500,000 now, where they need to be is an extra $1 million of life insurance. You then go into the danger side. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith, we've got this list of what you want to happen. We know that you're going to need a larger amount of insurance. Initially, this seems like a no-brainer, but they may balk at the price. So let's keep going. So if we don't move forward with this and we don't put this in place, what things would you be okay crossing off the list of not being able to happen? More than likely, they're going to say, well, no, none of those. We just told you that all of these have to happen. Okay. If we don't move forward or we don't put this in place and something does happen, what does that look like? How does that feel if some of this wasn't able to get done? Terrible. I don't like that. I want these things to get done. I would feel bad. You get people thinking about all of the dangers that could happen by not moving forward, and then take them to integration. Got it. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, well, I'm glad we were able to talk about this. We know where there's a gap. We know what you don't want to happen. If were able to move forward, get this going, and get this in place for you within the next week or so, how would that feel? How would it feel to know that you have everything you need in place and you don't have to worry about any of this not happening? How are you going to tell your family that you've taken the steps to make sure that they're covered and never have to worry? You get them thinking about the integration. If you follow that line of processing, the price is not going to matter. They've seen where they are, they've seen where they want to go, they know what happens if they don't take action, and then they can think about what happens when they do. And that progression of where are you now, where are you later, getting that danger of, gosh, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling like I don't want these things to happen, I'm in danger mode, and then you take them into how would it feel if we were able to alleviate that? If we were able to put you into a position where you knew you never had to worry about this, how would that feel? The sense of relief and the sense of, gosh, it feels so much better. That's how you end the conversation. And that's how you then transition into, here's how we get this done. They're feeling great. You solved their problem. They can live it. They can feel how it is to get that out of the way. And what's really nice about this is if you walk your clients through this process, that feeling is a referable moment. We talked last week about the IPO process, or 2 weeks ago on the IPO process. If you bring someone to that level where every time they walk out of your office, they have that feeling of, man, I'm confident, I'm covered, my stress is alleviated, they will refer you. And that's what this progression does. It gets the sale and it creates a great experience so the clients walk out feeling awesome. So let me give you a couple of examples of some questions here. So we've got these now questions. So the basics are, Well, where are you today? What do you have in place now? Go a little bit deeper. Hey, is this where you thought you'd be? If you could wave a magic wand and change something about your current financial situation, what would it be? Who's helping them? That's important, right? Hey, here's where I am. Great. Who's helping you take care of that? Who's helping you manage that? If you get a no one, you're set. And then finally, ask a little bit deeper. What are you doing right now to achieve your goals? A lot of people will ask the follow-up. Are you on track? But go deeper. How do you know? A lot of people will say they're on track because they're contributing to their 401k, or they're saving money towards retirement. Well, how do you know you're on track? Probably don't, especially if you're working on clients in this type of environment where you've got a bear market. So many financial professionals right now are in buy and forget mode. They're not even in buy and hold, they're in buy and forget, and they're just not calling or talking to clients. This is a great time to get out there and start talking to clients about protection, start talking to clients about their savings, start talking to them about retirement income, because I bet they're not hearing from the people that they've been working with for a long time. And fun fact, most people consider the person that helped them grow their money to not be the same person that'll help them take it. So if you've been talking to Bernard about annuities or retirement income at all, this is a great time to strike, because clients are looking for help there and they're probably not hearing from their asset accumulation. You can go about income accumulation. So sorry, that was a sidetrack, but great time to be reaching out to clients and talking about this stuff. So those are our now questions. And think about your laters. Where do you want to be? Why? Why did you decide that? The key here is, as you ask these questions, it's not interrogation. It's not coming with judgment. It's leading with curiosity. So if you've ever seen Ted Lasso or heard of that show, there's a key line on there that he always talks about, which is lead with curiosity, not judgment. Or I think it's be curious, not judgmental. But if you're leading with curiosity and you're asking these questions legitimately to figure out, hey, I just want to know where you're coming from. I want to understand you. The clients will walk out of there feeling great, because most advisors don't ask these. I don't know why, but when you start talking about feelings and you start talking about emotions, people get nervous and they shy away from it. So if you're trying to figure out, in this world of financial professionals where there's so many, how do you stand out? It's this. It's asking questions that they haven't been asked before, because they'll walk out of there thinking, wow, Bernard knows me better than anyone we've had before. I've never had a meeting like this. Wow, they really asked a lot of really insightful questions. And what's best is this keeps the client talking. You want them to talk more than you. We'll get to that in a little bit, but these are key. What does this goal mean to you? Think about somebody that wants to stay at home and they don't want to worry about a nursing home. Well, what would it mean to you for that? Why is that so important? You'll probably find out maybe they had a relative that was in a home that they didn't want to end up that same way, or maybe they're really keen on not being a burden to their family. That's a great goal that you can dive into. If we were able to get this in place and you knew and could tell your family, I will never, ever be a burden to you, what would that look like? What would you say and how would that feel? Get them thinking about how they would have that conversations with their children, their siblings, whomever it may be. But that's a great spot to get to. Now we go even deeper. Threats, dangers, what's gonna get in the way here? So, you told me that you want to make sure that you're never a burden to your family. How would it feel if you weren't able to achieve that and something happened where you had to go to family? Terrible, I don't want to do that. You get them thinking about and saying out loud what it is that they do not want. Humans are great at masking and rationalizing. People can think about it all the time. And the key is, though, you've got to get people to say it out loud. So an example I use, and apologies if hopefully this isn't offensive, but talking about the neocortex and the limbic brain and asking the questions around breaking and changing behavior. One topic that I use because it's easy is cigarette smoking. So if you're relying on facts and figures, the facts and figures around tobacco use and of any form is it's more expensive. You can do it in fewer places. It's actually harder to get to because now it's behind the counters. Some stores are dropping it, so it's even more scarce to find. And all of the facts and figures that they've linked to disease and the use of tobacco products. But what's happening? People still go every day and buy them. Why? Because facts and figures don't change behavior. It's just a matter of the fact. You need to think about how do you go deeper and asking some of these tough questions, whether it is, hey, changing a behavior like that or changing a behavior to get people to buy. Think about how do you go deeper? What happens if you don't take action today? If you don't change, what does the future look like for you? People, again, can hide things from themselves very, very well, but saying it out loud changes the game. It's like if you have a goal, what do you do with a goal? You write it down. You got to get it out of your head onto paper or get it out of your head and into the world. Getting people to say this by leading with curiosity is going to change the way they interact with you. And then finally, how are you going to go ahead and get to integrate? How are you going to celebrate when you achieve this? What's the benefit of knowing that you've got a plan or you've got this product in place? How's that feel? How's that different from before? Yeah, it sounds a little bit like a therapist, but that's what you're doing. You've got to think of yourself as helping people through changing behavior. Last pieces that I'll share before we wrap up, and if you have any questions, fire away. Don't forget to prioritize. Where does this fall in your list of priorities? I've seen a lot of professionals get one idea, one opportunity, and run at it, but the client doesn't care right now. It's not a priority. You know, if my advisor or a financial advisor was trying to sell me on, hey, you've got to do this because of retirement. You've got to get this done because of retirement. I've got time. I'm more worried about getting my emergency fund in place and getting my travel fund in place. I'm not worried about that. So make sure you prioritize, find out what the decision-making process looks like and who is all involved. Otherwise, you may end up spending a lot of time barking up the wrong tree and trying to chase down what isn't even the right priority. And finally, closing it out, remember the basics, 80-20 rule. You should be talking 20% of the time. Whenever you're meeting with a prospect, you're meeting with a client, I like to think of it as dating for financial professionals. If you've been on a first date, you go on first dates, the key is not to talk about yourself. You need to be interested, not interesting. Nobody cares about what you do, your success, how many people you've helped until they know that you care. Start there. They're the star. And when they walk out, they're going to think, man, that person was awesome. Because everyone loves talking about themselves. Don't talk about you. Let them talk about them. Listen, stay focused, repeat, paraphrase, and check in. Did I hear this right? If someone tells you, hey, I don't want to be a burden to my family. If I had to be, I would feel really terrible about that. And I would feel really guilty. Got it. So you told me, if I've got this correct, that we want to avoid moving in with family because you don't want to be feeling that guilt, or you would actually feel pretty bad to do that. Did I get that right? Yes. Every yes is a little brick in the foundation of trust. Check in, paraphrase, use their exact words as often as you can, because that's going to show that you're listening and it'll build that trust. It also just gets them in the mode of making sure that you are on the same page as them all the way through. It keeps them present and it keeps them from wandering as you walk through the question progression. Like I said before, take a step. Something isn't nothing. Start adding some of these questions in. Start using some of the threats and integration questions and watch what happens when you start going below the surface of facts and into the feelings. It's going to change the way your meetings go. It's going to change your interactions. If you have any of those self-limiting thoughts that popped up, remember, exceptional growth relies on results, not obstacles. Producers think about what could be. People that don't produce think about why can't it be? You've got to focus on the results and not all the things that could get in your way. So, as I've said, my info is on here. If you want to talk about this, reach out to Bernard. He can set us up. Shoot me a text, shoot me an email. Be happy to spend 30 minutes just walking through how does this work? What are some other questions? How do people put this into practice? Again, we teach this every single day on how people can go deeper. Bernard is a great resource and he can get everything set up. But again, hope you got some takeaways. Another part of being, or another benefit of being part of the IAD family here. And then in a couple of weeks, we're gonna have a whole new topic. So I'll turn it back to Bernard, but I hope you guys can continue to join us in the series.
All right. Thank you, Brandon. Folks, I agree with everything here. Part of my background is psychology, and thoroughly went through college, and this is right on point. I mean, there's so many other factors of the brain, but won't get into that, but this is on point. This is on point, and take advantage of it. We'll have this on our YouTube page, probably give us till about Monday to have it set up. I'll also email everyone this presentation because Brandon didn't go over a lot of stuff, and you may want to put it into your into your scripts that you use. The folks, you have any questions for Brandon? Is like the Spider-Man background? Yeah, Brandon.
It's a part of our team. We call ourselves the Avengers. This is my character.
So folks, let me say this. This will actually work with, I know a lot of your Medicare agents, this will work with your clients when you're talking to them about guaranteed protected income or long-term care linked benefits. And like I say, I'm not saying life insurance and I'm not saying annuities, but because that will stigmatize a lot of folks. So yep, definitely work for those type of clients. Let me see, there is nothing else. So yep, like I said, folks, I will reach out to each and every one of you. Then on Monday, I will email the presentation to you so you'll have it in your records, or go to our YouTube page. It will be there. Go to our YouTube page, subscribe to our YouTube page, and then these will come to you automatically as well. That's it. Brandon, again, thank you, my friend. We're looking forward to, in a couple of weeks, for the next third presentation on best practices. And folks, have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thanks again, Bernard.